Hi everybody, this is Pam with Jesus Junk Journals, and we're going to go on with the Esther Journal. And so what I've done, I went through and I put the pieces from my add-on kit into the journal so that I'd get them in the right order. And I haven't done it permanently, but I just wanted to show you because there is a chronological order to most of it. So I also had, here's something else I did. I guess you can see it. I had this big, I know you can see that, but I had some big gems. So I decided to use one of them here on sort of the title page. It says the Book of Esther. I did that with a gold pen. And then this is, of course, the Bow Bunny gel. But so on the very beginning, the first thing that I put was this card that explains about the story of Esther. So that's going to go somewhere in here. And then I put this tag because it talks about Queen Vashti, which is right at the very beginning of Esther. And I put these three playing cards. And then this one that says Vashti refuses to obey and is banished. Those all are in the very first part of the journal. So I just kind of put those up here. And let's see, I went a couple pages over and I put Esther 2 through 4, where it talked about the beauty contest that they had. So I just stuck that in there, and then I skipped a few pages, and then I put the Mordecai tag, and then I skipped a page. I also put this, I have this tassel trim, and I'm going to put it on this page. So I put it in there so I'd be ready to do that. And then Esther, the tag that has Esther, I'm going to put in here. So that's the next one. And then this one that says, the days of their beauty treatment were completed. So it talks about that beauty pageant that they had where she became queen. And then the king loved Esther more than all the women, was the next one, because he chose her. And then this is the journaling stuff. So I moved past it. And then I put the one that showed Mordecai where he wouldn't bow to Haman. And then I put my 4-flap thing that says, perhaps you were born for such a time as this, because the next thing that happens is Haman makes that plot and Mordecai tells Esther, Haman makes the plot, and Mordecai tells Esther this. They have the discussion of, and she's kind of afraid, and he reminds her. And so that goes here. Okay, so this goes next, Esther 4:11, where it tells about the penalty if she goes forward. And then, if I perish, I perish. And that was kind of her response. And so I put that here. And then the next thing is this tag, when the king saw Esther the queen standing in the courtyard. So now she's gone and she's risking her life. And so here's that tag that talks about when that happened. And then the big painting, the king extends the golden scepter. The next thing is where Haman has to parade Mordecai around the city on the horse. So I put that there. And then I've got the Esther 7 through, it says, if I have found favor in your sight. That's where she has the banquet and she makes the plea to the king for her people. And then I also have this painting, Esther denounces Haman. So this is her banquet, and she finally tells the king what the deal is. And then the next thing I have where they're getting ready to haul Haman away, and it looks like the king thinks he's attacking Esther. And so this card explains that whole passage. So I've got those two kind of together. And then the next thing is this one, which is Esther 8:4 through 12. And she tells him all about the letters that Haman has put out and where she asked him to help her people. So that's Esther 8:4. So that's the next one in chronological order. And then the next one is the one where it's Esther 9:1, and it says the day comes. And so this is the day when the Jews go out and fight their enemies and kill their enemies. And then the next one, actually this goes before that. This is where the king is told, I'm going to put that back here behind these two, I think. No, it's between these two. That's where it goes. It goes between this one and this one. So I'm going to just stick it in here. And then this is when it happens. And then at the very end, I've got 9:26, where it talks about how God declared this Purim or Purim, and tells about the holiday that they will have forever on. And then I just put my Happy Purim card back here. And so those are kind of the ones that were in my kit. And so now what you can do is go in, and I still have quite a few pieces to put in, but they're not anything about the story. They could go anywhere. And so now what I can do is go in and decide between the steps. So like between where it talks about Esther and Mordecai. So here it tells about Mordecai, you know, how he wouldn't bow. Well, maybe you want to put some more information in between, you know, where he talks to Esther. So you can go in and add that in. And I wanted to do it myself, like by hand. So the whole thing isn't just something cut out from a kit. So there are pieces of the story that you can flesh out. So that's my next thing, is I'm going to work on those fleshing out parts. And I'll come back and forth. I'm not going to make you sit here and watch while I think about what to do. But, I mean, I need a lot more pockets and things too. So, so if I go in order, now I'm going to think about this. And what do I want to do with this card that sort of explains why do we care about the book of Esther? So, the other thing is I'm going to go ahead and stitch this, since I know I want this here. I'm going to stitch this along the edge of this page as an edge. And then I'll be back. I'm going to go over to the sewing machine too. Here's another thing I'm going to do. I've got a bunch of ribbon pieces, and I'm going to sew a scrap, what do you call it? Where you take your scraps and just sew them all in a line. I'm going to put a ribbon down and just start to gather these pieces under it. And I'm just going to gather them up and create a border edge for this journal. Okay, so I got the tassel sewn on the edge of this page. And then I did the snippet roll, I guess you could call it edge, over here. And I just took a piece of this curtain material that I've been using throughout this book, and just cut a strip of it, folded it in half, and I sewed the scraps up like that. You can see where I just kind of gathered them up under the sewing machine foot and sewed them. And then I took that and I folded it in half on itself, and then I stitched that edge along the edge of the page. And this was left on the end, and I'm kind of thinking I'm just going to leave it, let it dangle. It doesn't really go very far outside of the edge of the book. So I think I'll just leave it like that. Since this is a boho, I'm going to leave it. So anyway, so now I'm going to go to the next thing and I will be right back. Okay, so I'm looking for ways to embellish and add pockets. And so the first thing I came to was this card telling about the reason for this Esther. And I decided I'm going to use one of these clips and just clip it up here to the top. Let it stick out because it's a little bit wider than the page. And so I'm going to decorate this clip. And it's metal, so I'm going to use E6000 glue. And so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 1-inch punch, and I got out some scrap paper that I just kind of used some of that leftover gold on, and I'm going to punch a circle, and then I'm going to cut it in half. I'm just going to guess here. And then I'm going to get my E6000 glue just to be sure it sticks. I'm going to put a little bit of glue and then glue just half of a paper circle to this side, and the other side I'm going to do the same thing. Put this lid on and glue this other side. And then I have these gems left over from something else, and so I'm going to glue the gem on both sides. They're glued on paper, so I think I'll use a pink one and a kind of an orange one. And actually, I guess I should probably use, since I don't know, these are plastic, I guess they'll, whenever I'm in doubt, I always use the C6000. And try not to get it on my hands, but I always do anyway. Okay, nothing too fancy, but just a little bit of an embellishment on that clip. So I'm going to let that dry. And then I think I'll probably put some more of that gold on the edge of it. And I might go in with my watercolor paint and just do the whites on the back so it's not so stark. So I better leave that alone, let it dry. And so I also, was looking through I had a little container of some small items, and I want to make sure I use my bulb pin and this kind of clip, bulldog clip. So I'm going to continue on through and look for some more things, and then I will be back. Okay, so I just put the Hazardous card in here with the bulldog clip for now. That's the next thing. And then I cut a little pocket out of some scrap paper that I had where I'd sprayed it with some mica spray. And I tucked the little card that says From Kush to India, because at the very beginning of the book, it talks about his kingdom and how it went from Kush, which was Ethiopia, all the way to India. So basically the whole world over there. So I've got that in there. And then Queen Vashti, I'm just going to put it here for now. Might put some embellishment up there later. And I've got this page. And now I'm going to do this card which talks about where she refused. And so I've got this curtain fabric, and I'm just going to cut a piece of it and sew a pocket on here for it because it's sheer and it matches this ribbon on the top of the tag. So I'm going to do that and then I will be back. Okay, so here's the clip. I went ahead and clipped it in. And there's the bulldog clip. I feel like this needs something up here since she was a queen. So I cut a piece of trim and I thought I would use Fabri-Tac and put that in. Okay, and then I've got this. I went ahead and sewed this in. I went over and sewed this on the machine and just finished the edges, and then I hand sewed these two sides, and I went through my buttons and I found some old, these are crowns. So I'm going to use those somewhere. I'm going to sew those around something. But anyway, I found this button, so I decided to just leave this open and sew this button on to hold that. And so now I've got red thread down here, so I need to find some sort of a strip of fabric or something to put down here. I might make a pocket. Haven't quite decided yet. And then I came over here to where Esther's card will be, and I decided to hold it in. I'm going to make some slits and feed it through. Well, let's see if I can do this where you can see what I'm doing, and hopefully I don't do it in such an awkward way that you get scared and don't want to do it yourself. Let's see. And I mean, of course, ideally this would have been done before you put your journal together, but I just can't do it. I can't figure out what goes where that far in advance. So here's my page. And so I'm just going to cut a couple of slits. Oh, here. I hope you can see this. And then down here. I hope this works. I haven't done it on anything like this, quite like this before. So I've got this netting, and let's see, I need a piece big enough. Those two aren't big enough. I'm gonna double this piece, I think. And feed this through. Now I have done something similar. This is sort of like my ribbon sliders, where I take a safety pin or a paper clip, I think is what I used. Paper clip, and use it to poke the fabric through. Okay, let's see. This should just pop right through. So what is going on there? There. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to pull it through and leave some there at the bottom. This time I'll double this fabric over it and poke it through these two. There. Okay, and so I can either chop those off or I can leave them. Right now I'm going to leave them. And then the card will just slide into that, hopefully. There. And stay like that. And then what I thought I would do is glue a couple of flowers. What did I do with those? I have these paper cloth flowers I got from Hobby Lobby, and I thought I would glue those here and here. Let me see though. I don't want them to interfere with this card going in there. I think they might be a little large. I'm going to look for something else. Let's see, what do I have? I've got like little gems and things, but they're all, I only have one of each size. So let's see. What I can do is do 3 down in a line. And I think I've got pink and I've got orange. Okay, this takes a little bit of delicacy. Ha ha ha. So I'm just gonna, I think I'll just smear the glue on here and hope for the best. Ah. Now I know I need tweezers, but I'm just too stubborn to use them, I guess, would be the word. Okay, and then I'm going to put the glue here, and you put the orange ones. It's kind of like using chopsticks. If you're if you practice and you're good at it, that's one thing, but I am not. So let me see. I don't know if this is the best. Yeah. So let's see. Oh, that was actually the middle-sized one. So, oh, and I got my glue. I got my glue on the fabric and not on the paper. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna move the middle one down and get the big one. What a mess. Okay, there. And then take the small one. Okay, so maybe I can use these to sort of separate them. Put them where I want them. Okay. Phew. Okay, there's that. Okay, so that'll need to dry. I'll save these flowers for something else. So that's what I have so far. And I'm going to look for a place to put these crowns and then keep moving on with the rest of this. I may stop on this video actually, and so I hope that you enjoyed watching the craziness that I go through. And if you did, click like and also think about subscribing, and we will go on in the next video with some more of the embellishments for the Esther Journal. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.